Hey and hi everyone, this is Joe Tommaso and thanks for joining me for this edition of the 15 Minutes with True Crime podcast. With this show, we talk with inmates across the country. These people are in jail and prison from anything from theft to drugs to murder to multiple murders. It is our hope that by bringing these individuals' stories and their experiences to the forefront, that together we may stop someone from getting involved with the criminal justice system, that we show people what life on the inside of jail and prison is really like, not some hyped up thing like lockup and 60 Minutes with. Maybe, just maybe, by sharing these stories and sharing these experiences, we can bring these institutional counts down. Not by just picking these people up and then releasing them into the community, but by picking them up and rehabilitating them. And not just rehabilitating them, but maybe stopping somebody who's doing these very things, getting involved with the criminal justice system, going to court, going to jail, probation, all this. We can bring these counts down by them learning from those who have to stay inside and may never ever come home. We can learn and discourage from these other people's mistakes. Most states call their jails and prisons a Department of Corrections, correction meaning to correct behavior. And they're nothing more than places where we punish the offender by putting them in a 6x9 or 6x10 steel or concrete or steel and concrete cell. A lot of these places definitely punish people and they isolate them, but they make them wind up very bitter and angry, and there's little to no, or when there are, outdated training. Quite a bit of these offenders are set up to fail when they get released and just wind up right back on the inside. California, on the other hand, calls its prison system the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, with a focus on teaching offenders skills that they need to sustain themselves on the outside. Things like carpentry, construction, electrical work, as well as various addiction services and support groups. The one thing they seem to value is the R in rehabilitation. Michelle Hernandez contacted me a few days ago. She's currently at the Central California Women's Facility. She's affectionately called Little Michelle by her fellow inmates. She entered the system when she was real young, and she grew into adulthood in that same system. At the age of 17, she was in county jail, and shortly after turning 18, she was transferred to state prison. She was taken under the wings of several prisoners who are serving life without parole. These women will never get out of prison. And they took this girl under their wing. These individuals then transformed her from someone who hung out with gangs and a lot of other stuff to someone who will be a good member of society and a productive member of society when she is released within the next year. She's currently served over 10 years in prison for theft. The following will be the conversation I had with her, and you got to hear the enthusiasm this young woman has. It is just phenomenal. But before we get started, I wanted to say hello to Patty and Sean, David and Kendra, and Nicole. A special hi to Cassie, Vincent, and Aiden. Hi to Teresa and Lance. And to all the police departments out there and the fire departments out there and the various corrections department, hi and thank you for your service. A special thanks to DeGennaro's Garage in West Haven, Connecticut, Bruno's Garage in West Haven, Connecticut, and Mike's Auto, as well as Mild to Wild in Orange, Connecticut. If you like this show and you'd like to see it get better and continue, please think of donating to paypal.me/Joe Tommaso. Once again, that is paypal.me/JoeTomaso. And if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, or just somebody that you want to suggest that we try to interview, just email us at insidetherazorwire@gmail.com. Again, that email is insidetherazorwire@gmail.com. or you can old-fashioned snail mail us at P.O. Box 162, West Haven, Connecticut 06516. Also, keep your eyes open for our soon-to-come Patreon page, as well as our upcoming website, which will be located soon at www.15minuteswithpodcast.com. Again, that is www.15minuteswithpodcast.com. Hit the like, hit the subscribe button. That actually helps us come up in the ratings from whatever platform you're listening to, and can share this podcast with more people. Now, with all that out of the way, let's hear that conversation that I had with little Michelle, aka Michelle Hernandez. Hello?
This is Global Tel-Link. You have a prepaid call from
Michelle Hernandez.
an inmate at the Central California Women's Facility, Chowchilla, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now.
5.
Thank you for using Global Tel-Link.
Good morning, Michelle.
Hi, how are you?
I am okay. Today, I believe we're going to be speaking about the R, or rehabilitation, in CDCR. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. What do you have to tell people that are listening? First, let's do this. Can you first say your name and where exactly you're calling from?
All right, my name is Michelle Hernandez, and I'm calling from Chowchilla State Prison
Okay.
in California.
Okay. And let's talk about the rehabilitation side that people don't know about in the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation.
Right, so I think the most important and major thing here is, what does rehabilitation even look like, right? Like, what does that sound like? Like, there's something that society has an expectation of us, right? And it's a right expectation, right? We did something wrong. There was behaviors within us. There was a mindset, a lifestyle that was completely destructive, right? We were terrorists to our community. And rehabilitation, does it work, right? That's the big question, is, does rehabilitation really work? And if it does, what does that look like? And the point I'm getting at is not what does it look like, but who does that look like?
Okay.
Because with rehabilitation, what is happening, all these laws that are taking place, all these prison reform, all of those things, yeah, they're impactful and they change lives, but there's a blind spot. And that blind spot is the very thing that is expected of us, which is rehabilitation. Who is rehabilitation like, right? Who does that look like? And it's all the women in here that have been forgotten. It's the LWAP community, right? It's the lifers who go time and time again to board. And so the major thing I want to get at here is, does rehabilitation look flawless? No. Does rehabilitation look perfect? No. Does rehabilitation look like it doesn't make any mistakes? No. But rehabilitation is possible, and that's the very thing that's desired from us. And this place really does produce something that we need in order to become that person that society wants us to become, that person that is our very essence that we always were, right? But there's a pivotal thing. There's a foundational step there, and that step is the people who make it happen. You know, I can't stress that enough. There's things that these women will never get a chrono for. There's things that these women will never get a certificate for because they're not out there looking for attention like they once were. Their crimes are saying, look at me. Their crimes are saying, someone don't overlook me. Someone help me. I'm hurting. Someone please, turn your attention this way. And in one way or another, I guess you could say they got seen, right? The right way, but they got seen. And so they come here, and what happens here is like a real-life resurrection. And I'm not saying that trying to be cliche. I'm not saying that trying to make some impact. I'm just saying that is exactly what I came to prison to see. And it is like one of the most precious things. Like, I just can't even describe it. A lot of women's causative factors that cause them to commit their crimes is selfishness. That is like a driving force because there is a selfish need within every human being to be loved and to belong. And so that drives to do so many different crazy things, horrible things, horrendous things that do deserve consequences. But what happens within these walls is beyond a human comprehension. I don't think that society or the world will ever know unless you've walked in these prisons, within these prison walls, to see what really happens. It's quite amazing to me to see that people who have a hopeless sentence are the very force that created someone like me, are the very force that encouraged me, are the very force that makes this community run the way it's supposed to run. They are the pillars of this community. Why doesn't nobody know their name? Why aren't they commuted yet? Why aren't they seen? Is it because they're not broadcasting themselves everywhere? And if they're not, it's because that's a direct amends to not seeking that self-fulfillment. That is like the key thing, right? I'd like to give the example of me being a thief. I was a thief. And so the behavior that I need to change, it starts with the most minute behaviors. It starts with I went to canteen one day and I came back with 5 extra mayonnaises, right? Nobody knows that. I didn't get a chrono for taking them back, but because I know me, I'm going to leave. I'm going to walk back. No one's going to keep me accountable. That's what the world is missing. That's what these women do. They sit back in the sidelines and say, you know what, little one? Oh, you know what? You get to go home in a year, but I'm going to encourage you all the way. I'm going to pump you up. I'm going to start the very group that rehabilitation is demanding of you, and I'm going to propel you forward. I'm going to speak that life into you. So many people tell me, oh, yeah, you talk so good. Keep talking, keep doing this. Well, I didn't wake up like this. I'll tell you what, the gang lifestyle sure as hell didn't encourage that. It's women that seen something in me. They pumped me up. They said, Michelle, keep talking. They said, you have a voice. You matter. The very women that are hopeless. And I feel like that is the most precious treasure that is missing. And that's what I want to bring attention to, these people who are getting forgotten time and time again. And there's a blind spot.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
And my greatest desire is to bring attention to that blind spot. It's not about me. It's not about anything. It's not about the crime. It's not about life before and after. It's about what is your blind spot today. Who are those women? It's the Michelle Joneses. It's the Maria Serratos. It's the Kat Reeds. It's the Delphina Janigans. Like, it's these women that created so many different changes here in this community. They're amazing. I wish for a moment that I can, send you the visual that I get when I walk in this prison. They're the good mornings every morning. They're the ones that make this place exactly what it's supposed to be. They're the ones that bring sunshine into this place, that are encouraging everybody, that are propelling this rehabilitation forward. And it's like one of those things that genuinely breaks my heart, because the look of joy when they see a peer go home, when they see a peer get a date, I don't ever see the look of why not me. I have never seen the look of why am I overlooked. But every single time I see the look of sheer joy, a genuine joy person. That doesn't happen in the real world. I'm sorry. When someone's working hard for a promotion and that someone else gets it, they're not jumping for joy yeah, you got it and I did it. But that's what you find within these walls. That's what I see these women doing. When someone else comes back with that date, despite being overlooked for years, they're jumping for joy. They're the ones helping them. They're the ones genuinely happy walking with them, and they put self aside for somebody else. And that's rehabilitation. It does work. It is possible. And all I'm saying is, let's look deeper. Let's look beyond the percentage change. My biggest thing is, let's review these cases one more time, a commutation. I'm not saying necessarily a get-out-of-jail-free card, because that's not even possible. And they wouldn't even want that. They work hard because they want to have something to work hard for.
I don't think that people realize that the women who are, serving life without parole are the very people that are encouraging and guiding those with lesser sentences out. I think that's the problem.
Yeah, you know what? It's the problem, and it is, and that's exactly what I'm getting at is that that's exactly what is the problem. Is I love that these laws are changing, right? I came in with less time than so many of my peers. I love that it works. I believe that it changed me, and it did change me. But when I really, really had to stand before a committee or the warden or the youth that I work with, and they asked me what changed, I can't necessarily say it was a specific group as much as I can say it's the women. The women raised me here. The women who believed in me. It's them. They are the change. They're the ones that created the groups that I'm able to take a chrono for. They are the ones that build something from the ground up out of nothing, out of their own experience, and hand it up to the next person and say, now you run with it. Now you do something with it. And that's the part that's missing, right, in the rehabilitation, is that there are these groups, there are these milestones, there are these opportunities for so many, but who is really making that happen? Is it the law? No. It's the people that are sitting in here. It's the LWAPs. It's the women that I mentioned. It's them. They're the ones making it happen. They're the consistency here. They're the foundation, right? Whenever somebody is grieving, which could be a trigger, whenever somebody is falling short, could be a nexus to their very crime, guess who's calling you out on it? Not the group, definitely not that certificate you have put away. It's these women. They're the ones that know how to lovingly, gently come to you and say, that right there, that costed you a little too much. Let's end that. Hey, that look that you just did, that wasn't even worth it. What was that about? And they call you out on the smallest behavior that you can, that sometimes we're not even willing to look at within ourselves. They do it. That takes fearlessness. That takes a boldness that's lacking. But it comes from a confidence. They're not walking around here arrogantly. It's a humble confidence. It's a humility that says, man, I've hurt so many people, I just want to give it back. I've hurt so many people, I just want to see what I can do to help you so you can be the best you. Even though no one looked at me, I'm going to look at you. Even though I'm overlooked, I'm going to make sure you're not overlooked. And that's what they do time and time again. For the people that come into their room, the people that step into their group, that's what they did for me. I would not be the person that I am today had it not been for them. They are. Everything that I say, everything that I do in one form or another, I'm taking on a piece of them. And while I have their faces, while I could still see their faces here, while I could see them in action, things that the world will never see, they will never get the privilege to see the beauty. It breaks your heart. It does, but not in a way where you feel desperate for them, not in a way where you feel pity for them, but in a way where you're like, man, they pump you up because it's a boldness that ain't broadcasted on TV. It ain't broadcasted on the newspaper, but it's bold and it's fierce and it's real and it's humble and it's what we all need a little bit of. And if they got out,
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
For just 1 second, there is just no doubt in my mind that they wouldn't change lives out there. There's not even a doubt. And all I'm saying is let's take a look. Let's look at these people. Let's see what rehabilitation looks like. Let's figure out what rehabilitation names are, like who's representing that, who's really standing up for rehabilitation. The ones that are forgotten.
Michelle, I got to tell you, I always say on my show that people see shows out there like Lock Up in 60 Days In, and they don't realize what's there in prison. And this is just another example. This is something you don't see on those shows.
Right, and you know what? Because this isn't shows. This isn't a show. This isn't fake life. And you know what? And I'm glad that you brought that up, because people who get involved in a show like that, what are they really seeking? Hey, look at me. Right? Mm-hmm. They're really saying, come check me out. The women I'm talking about are not doing that.
Right.
They did enough of look at me.
They're silent, they're in the background, but they're having a big effect on other people that come in.
Right, and so that's the exact opposite. That's exactly what rehabilitation is who you once were, you no longer are. Prove it to us. Selfishness is a driving force to a crime. Selfishness, look at me, is what it's saying. And the fact that they could sit back, get overlooked, and be okay, and still thrive, and still be okay humbly, not arrogantly, like I said, and not demand. That's the beauty. That's rehabilitation. That's submitting that selfishness, bringing it into conformity time and time again. Every time someone goes home, every time somebody gets a blessing, that's what they do. It's a discipline. It's a genuine self-discipline that comes forth, and it brings tears to our eyes. It brings tears to my eyes. It's my very heartbeat, because I know that I wouldn't be this way, and there's just so many other people, right? Mm-hmm. I just can't sit down. I just can't sit down about the topic, and I just, while I can see it happening, I want to be able to give the world
You have 60 seconds remaining.
The real visual of what's happening in here, the real visual of who are the faces of rehabilitation, and they are. They're the real faces of rehabilitation. They're the reason we can get people who reform, who change their lives, who go out there and do good. It's because of women like them.
I think maybe the people on the outside need to open their eyes to this right here.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
I agree, and that's... Go ahead.
Nope, this is going to cut you off, Michelle. So is there anything you want to say real quick before we get cut off?
Yeah, I guess all I want to say is, like, let's look at the blind spot, right? Let's look at the Michelle Joneses and the Maria Serratos and the Cat Reeves. Let's look at them. Let's take a look at what rehabilitation really looks like, and what it's really about, and why it really does work. Who is the driving behind it?
Thank you. Thank you, Michelle, for calling. Thank you for listening to 15 Minutes With. I hope you've enjoyed this edition. If you have enjoyed this edition of 15 Minutes With, please hit the like and the subscribe button. You can also help me keep this show going and watch it get better by donating to paypal.me/Joe Tomaso. That address again is paypal.me/JoeTomaso. 15 Minutes With is constantly looking for new content to upload and new people to interview. If you would like to share your story, or if there's someone you would like to see us interview, please email us at insidetherazorwire@gmail.com. That email address again is insidetherazorwire@gmail.com. Last but not least, again, if you like to support this channel, please subscribe and hit the like button. Until next time, we'll be seeing you